Today, we're just outside Claremont, California in Mount Baldy, and we're gonna hike 12.1 miles to Ontario Peak in the Angeles National Forest in the San Gabriel Mountains. So the hike starts right here at this parking lot. Fills up pretty quickly on the weekends, but luckily I'm doing this on a weekday. Here's where the trail starts. You see the map right here when you make your way up. And this just lets you know about the items that they prohibit in the wilderness. And you do need a permit to hike in the Cucamonga Wilderness. So when you start the hike, you're going to start in a canyon, which is the Ice House Canyon. And you're going to come across a lot of rocks. And when you make your way through this trail, it's more of a gradual incline. But you do get very beautiful views of the river and the vibrant green trees throughout the canyon. So right here is actually snow melt coming down from the mountains. So this year there's a lot more water. And right here is the beginning of the incline in our first creek crossing. So for like I believe the first 2 miles or so, it's just this, going through the creek, the canyon, and seeing that water coming through. And you do get these nice little cascades that come down the creek. And there are a lot of ruins on this portion of the hike. There is an old cabin or house that was once there. And there is a lot of private property. People live in these woods. And you will cross this spring right here, leading down to a waterfall. So this is actually a very peaceful hike. And then you'll see the first sign right here. And you just go straight ahead. So it is pretty foggy today. So we're going to see if we could catch those clouds up in the mountains. Right there, you can start to see the clouds form. And then when you get to this point, you're going to see that sign for the Cucamonga Wilderness. So right, this portion of the hike, it's very rocky. So just be very careful, as when you walk through so many rocks, it does hurt your feet a little bit. And you're going to make your way through these pines and another creek crossing. Set of switchbacks. And at this point, you can see that we're actually above the clouds. So down there is the fog. Now we're just going to make our way up the mountain. More switchbacks along the pines. And then you will come across that sign. But there's actually a waterfall coming down from snowmelt. And we're at the 3 mile point, just halfway there. And this section right here is actually a section where it actually takes you to different peaks. And I'm just going to go up ahead and look at this little plaque right here. And it'll tell you where we're at. And it'll tell you the peaks that are around this area. So we're actually right here. And then we're going to just head up right here. We're about 3.2 miles into the hike. And right here, there was actually some snow still. Even though it's June right now, there's still patches of snow up in the mountain. So if you do see snow like this, just be careful. You don't need spikes or clamp-ons. You could manage just with the hiking boots. Of course, you could always use poles or sticks to help you. But just take your time when you are walking on ice and snow. And there's a spring right there. And those are all the peaks. Right there's Mount Baldy. And it's getting pretty steep at this point. I believe at this point, this is around maybe 7,000 feet. So maybe another 1,000 feet or so. And then on to Ontario Peak. And this is the Kelly Campground right here. And you can see all the burnt trees from over the years. Of course, it just looks really nice from up here. And more patches of snow. And just more scenic views of the San Gabriel Mountains. And you're going to come across this opening right here where you'll get great views. So you can just stop, take pictures, admire the scenery. But as you can see, there's a lot of clouds forming. So down there, it's going to be pretty foggy. Because we're about, at this point, I want to say around maybe 8,000 feet. So another about 600 feet to go to get to the peak. So I am approaching the summit at this point. And I've arrived. This is Ontario Peak. 8,600 feet. And of course, it's just amazing. You get all these awesome views of the clouds and all the mountains surrounding the Angeles National Forest. And I believe this hike is close to 4,000 feet of elevation gain, somewhere around 3,800 feet of elevation gain. So this is a very hard hike, but it's also a very rewarding hike. And I would definitely recommend it if you wanted to challenge yourself a little bit and get great views within a day. Because this hike could be done within a day. And it normally takes around 7.5 to 8 hours to complete this hike, depending on your pace and how many times you stop. But it did take me about 8 hours to complete this hike, because I did stop and have lunch on the way up to the mountain. But another hike that you could do around here is Cucamonga Peak, the 3 T's, which is Timber Mountain, Thunder, and Telegraph Peak. And of course, Mount Baldy.